it and come and join us at this time. Questions and comments, please do put them in the chat and we'll collate them and answer them as best we can as things go on, or even at the end we'll address anything that we haven't managed to during it. There is a comment that it is National Eat a Peach Day today, and I was looking earlier for comments about peaches, and the things I was able to find is that they are good for weight management. They're also good to reduce our risk of cancers, but interestingly 50% of the world's peaches are produced by China. So there is my interesting fact about peaches today. As an update for where things are within the trust, so there is a weekly tactical meeting that happens, and they're updating the trust on what is going on, and to brief everyone within Children's Hospital, we are currently in Opal 4, and that means that there is a sustained and continuous pressure within the organisation that's coming through our emergency department, both within adult and paediatric setting, and it's putting real pressure on our bed capacity as well as flow of patients because of that. Alongside that is reduction continuing in our COVID inpatients down to 83, and nosocomial rate of 16.8%. We have now developed a decision management tool, or is currently in development actually, regarding our COVID score, and it's also going to include the risk of RSV and flu going forward, which will also be very helpful within the Children's Hospital, certainly around the RSV surges that we potentially may experience as we go into the autumn and certainly into the winter. Within the PEDS-ED department, they have stopped segregating hot and cold areas, and that's been approved through our IPC team, and that's because of patient flow and ability to provide best patient care, and the risk being greater in trying to continue to separate hot and cold areas. For our MPX cases within the Yorkshire and Humber, there are 67. There's currently no inpatients within Leeds, but some are being monitored via virtual ward, and there is no further vaccine expected until late September. The rest of the meeting was focused on our outpatient transformation, and that's due to launch in October with many different innovative practices and good practices already established essentially throughout the Children's Hospital, but also the wider trust as well, looking at decreasing our follow-up, moving where appropriate patients into a patient-initiated follow-up, increasing our or looking at how we look at our numbers of our outpatient diagnostic tests and seeing how we can decrease them if appropriate, seeing if we can increase our number of patients that get discharged, as well as a real move towards a digital sort of technology to help with patient hubs. I know that we're trialling that within our paediatric neurology, and we're going to feed back shortly to the surrounding region regarding that, as well as looking at artificial intelligence, trying to reduce our did not attend rates on was not brought. So that's an update with where we are within the trust and plans going forward. I'll now hand over to Laura to say how we're getting on within the Children's Hospital.
Thanks, Colin. Welcome back from your holidays. So I'm Laura Whelan. I'm the Deputy Head of Nursing for the Children's Hospital. So the last week, I'm sure you're all aware, was really busy. Colin's just described there what our Opal rating was for the organisation, which was 4. We have got our surge beds currently in use, and the bed occupancy rate across the trust was 99.7%. So just to give you a little bit of a flavour really as to actually how much capacity we really had to play with last week, was not very much at all. We had a huge focus on discharge, and that certainly remains for the week ahead. We had multiple silver meetings, which is when we come together with it was Claire Smith last week, to talk at a CSU level about how we can begin to release flow and capacity across the children's hospitals specifically. So we had a couple of actions that I'm sure you will have all been involved in terms of getting multiple consultant reviews on any patients that could possibly go home, and if the question was that they could go home tomorrow, then the question was asked, why not today? So thank you for everybody for engaging in that process. I'm sure that will continue this week. We also identified Panda as a spot where we could use for patients who were waiting to discharge to release some capacity, and also as a mechanism by which clinicians could bring patients back in the following day for review. So just to make everybody aware that that space is there and available to use. And we've also got our discharge team who are identifying, as they normally do, golden wards to work on every day where we can see the most amount of discharges predicted, and they'll go and help to facilitate discharges out of the hospital. So just thanks to everybody for a massive team effort. I think the only way that we're going to get to see some flow is by being really proactive with our discharges. So that's great. And we continue to have the Imagine incentive running. So just to plug that, that's our overtime incentive for nursing, which will obviously help us to open more beds and release a little bit more capacity back into the system. So I am handing over now to Liz for waste reduction.
Morning, everyone. I joined a couple of nursing colleagues on a waste walk recently, and it was really great, and there were lots of really good things that we observed. But the one that I'd just like to mention today in relation to waste reduction and sort of shared learning is one of the things that we found that required improvement was stock or inventory management, and particularly in relation to expiry dates. And unfortunately, we know this can be a problem in other areas, so worth a mention here. So we unfortunately found several £100s worth of expired dressings and disposable clinical items. And in some cases, it appeared that this was because the amount supplied far exceeded the use. So the items expired before they were ever needed. And for some other items, the issue was that newer stock with a longer date was placed in front of the older stock. So the new stock was used first, allowing the older stock hidden behind the new stock to expire. There were some good examples where products that were close to expiry, the date had been highlighted on the packet to try to encourage people to use that one first, which was really good. Now, we fully appreciate that in busy clinical areas, when you need something, you really don't have time to go through a shelf full of products to find the shortest expiry date, and we wouldn't be asking you to do that every time you went and grabbed an item. But we'd like to ask you to think about how the stock's managed in your area, and if anything needs to be done to improve stock rotation so that we can prevent waste, which really does run into significant amounts of money when we're talking expired items. So one of the things that we did on the waste walk was to gather up some excess stock that was approaching expiry. We made sure that we left enough products so that we didn't take everything that team needed, but we gathered up some of these short date things and redistributed them to areas with higher use of those items so that they could be used before they expired. So that's one thing that we'd like to encourage you to do if you find things close to expiry in your own area. Either ask for advice, or if you know of another area that uses them, see if we can get them used ASAP. And then finally, I just want to say, so we know that stocks and stores and supplies issues are we have regular issues, and people have always got something that's not working very well. And we've recently started work led by Anna Dennis, working more closely again with our supplies and materials management colleagues to try and improve stock management and resolve some of the issues that people are experiencing. So if any area is experiencing waste through expiring stock and they'd like help to address this, if you let me know, and we'll try and help you and make that run a bit better. So thanks, everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Liz. And as I've just posted, I think I probably need to do some waste walk through my fridge at home, to be honest, most of the time with what's going on. So I'm going to hand over to Laura now to talk about some of the lessons learned within the Children's Hospital.
Thanks, Colin. So last week we had a bit of a focus on information governance. We had two issues, I think, that arose early on in the week that we were able to sort of unpick a little bit. One was around letters incorrectly going to the wrong addresses. So just a gentle reminder that just to make sure that we're sending and confirming current address, obviously when patients present, and that is the address that we're using in terms of posting out letters. So they either went to the wrong address or an old address. And then the other issue that we had come through onto the radar this week was around sharing of passwords with students. So just a reminder that if there are students working within the Children's Hospital that we're not able to obviously disclose what our own personal passwords and logins are for our various systems, and I know that that's frustrating for them because they're wanting to sort of get on and be able to contribute in that way. There is a process obviously for all students to access their own logins and passwords, that they can request those. I think that's a much easier process for Leeds students as opposed to students that are coming from out of area. So that's something that we've taken away in terms of how can we make it easier for our out of area students to get logins and passwords and to get them at a slightly quicker rate. Because obviously when our students within Leeds are training with us, it can take several weeks, but they're coming back and it's, you know, they hold those logins and passwords for future placements. But if they're just coming for one placement, that can be a challenge. But please, 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 if we could get the message out that we're not to share logins or passwords with students, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And I think we've got someone from the youth team who's going to come and talk about the Duke of Edinburgh Award and what they've managed to achieve within the Children's Hospital. Is there someone there from the youth team? And I can see Georgia has joined us. So Georgia, were you going to give us an update on what happened with the Duke of Edinburgh Award? Something that I loved doing when I was a kid, and it's great that we're allowing access for all, to be honest, to do it. So really great initiative. So Georgia, over to you.
Yeah, so we took, the youth service took a group of 7 young people out on their expedition in July. They did 2 days of walking. They needed to be out 6 hours each day. And then they put up all their tents, which looked like a miniature Glastonbury due to the COVID restrictions. And they camped overnight. They did really, really well. We had a good span of young people from 13 to 17 years old. They all got on. They all had varying health conditions. We're very lucky to be supported by the Duke of Edinburgh in terms of funding. So they've all got things to make it easier for their condition. We've got dispensations so that they only have to carry day packs and not all their things. So they've made it really accessible for them. The group are now getting on with completing their other sections. So they have to do fitness, volunteering and a skills section. 2 for 3 months and 1 for 6 months. There's some of the pictures of them there. And yeah, they're getting on with that. One of the things we have encountered as a problem is getting volunteering positions for our young people. So we're now supported by estates to be working on the garden between Brotherton and Jubilee. So we've got young people working on tidying that up, and we're going to be doing a sensory garden in there. So they're now completing their sections through that. So yeah, they did really, really well, and they should be on track to get their award in December, January.
That is amazing, George. And I love seeing the pictures of them all engaging with getting their tents up, as you say, mini Glastonbury, but also the fact that they were able to get out and about and that we've been able to facilitate it for them. So it's brilliant. So well done. Thank you. So I think we're on to any other business. I can't see any questions that have popped up in the chat at the moment so far. Laura, did you want to make the comment about postal?
I can do, yeah. I think just a reminder to everybody that Royal Mail will be going on strike from the 30th, I believe. So any letters that need to go out for the 30th need to be out by today. So just that reminder, if we can cascade that out. And then I think just to be mindful that obviously a lot of our well, all of the way in which we communicate with our patients is via letters. So in terms of people not attending our was not brought rate, etc. If we can just be mindful that we're keeping a close eye on that during that period of the postal strike. There are some mitigations that we've got in place in terms of telephone calls to patients to remind them about appointments that are particularly in this window of risk. But if we can just be mindful that if we need to get any letters out for patients for the week of the 30th, they do need to be out by today. Thank you.
Brilliant, Laura, and I can very grateful for Caroline posting as well about links to how to help with IT access, basically, as well for our learners. So thanks for that, Caroline. Ed, I think it's over to you to talk about our next exciting thing that's going to happen within the Children's Hospital. And I can see you've just popped it up there in the chat as well.
Thanks, Colin. Yeah, so some of you will remember that last year Leeds Hospital's charity ran their first ever sponsored Toddle event, which is the first specifically fundraising for Leeds Children's Hospital event. It was a brilliant success last year. I think they raised something like over 30 grand just for the Children's Hospital. So they're running the Toddle again this year. It's a Halloween event again. I've just posted the link in the chat. They'll be launching this. It'll be going out to the media this morning. So you've got a bit of a sneaky preview there. So families can sign up to take part in the Toddle from today, anytime until the actual event, which is on the 22nd of October. It's a 1 kilometre toddle or walk for under 4s, but I don't think there are that many restrictions around it really. It's kind of like it's a bit of fun for something that all families with kids of all ages, all abilities can get involved with and fundraise for their local hospital. So we're hoping it'll be another great success like last year was. I was there last year. I know Suzanne was there as well, and we had a great time. And it's brilliant to see all the families coming together just to support Leeds Children's Hospital. So it's a really great thing. Please get behind it if you can, if you can go, or if you can just kind of spread the word with your own friends and family. That'd be fantastic. There'll be posters and things going up around the hospital, but if you feel like you need any kind of tools or posters or things that you want to share with family and friends, please do let me know. I'll be coordinating things with the charity. So that's it, Colin. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Ed, and thank you, Laura and Liz, as well, and Georgia, for coming to present today at our Monday Muddle. And lovely to be back and seeing some smiley faces and everyone coming to join and hear how things are. So I hope the week ahead goes well, and obviously do get in touch if any issues come up that you feel need addressed, and look forward to seeing you all next week. Many thanks all.
Thanks, Colin. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.